Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Apologies for the short delay in starting. We saw everyone coming in from the cultural event that was outside, so we expect to have some people coming in throughout the event, but we'd like to make a start.
Okay.
My name is Claire McGuire. I'm a policy and advocacy officer at the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, and I'd like to welcome you all here today, those online and those here in the room, to our side event as a part of Mondiacult 2022. Thank you very much to the government of Mexico and to UNESCO for helping us bring this event into the program, where we will be exploring how partnering with libraries, with other cultural institutions can help promote and build culture and education linkages. So we have a diverse panel here, both in person and joining virtually, to share different perspectives and different ideas that we can hopefully take forward after Mondiacult to help bring some of the ideas that we're discussing throughout this conference into practice in a meaningful way. So with that being said, I'm going to hand over to our moderator for today, Jonathan Hernandez. He is a board member at IFLA, and he will lead us through our discussion today. So again, thank you very much for being here, and we shall begin.
Thank you, Claire. Bienvenidos, bienvenidas a este primer día de Mondiacult, la conferencia sobre políticas culturales y desarrollo sostenible. Es un gusto tener también la voz de las bibliotecas en este evento paralelo, en este evento tan importante. Nuevamente, muchas gracias, UNESCO, Secretaría de Cultura de México y Gobierno de México. Bien, la cultura es un elemento que es el elemento que nos congrega durante estos días. Y precisamente para permitir que la cultura desarrolle todo su potencial para empoderar a las personas y a las sociedades, se deben fomentar los vínculos con la educación en absolutamente todos los niveles. El patrimonio cultural, el conocimiento tradicional y el idioma conforman un cuerpo de conocimiento que mejora la educación específica del contexto y permite el aprecio y la consideración por la diversidad cultural, el multilingüismo, las artes, la creatividad y la alfabetización digital. Los esfuerzos para vincular la cultura y la educación deben tener en cuenta la educación formal y no formal, tanto para permitir el aprendizaje permanente como para llegar a estudiantes de todas las edades. Y bueno, quienes formulan las políticas tienen en las bibliotecas y otras instituciones culturales socios que pueden ayudar a planificar e implementar estrategias para vincular la cultura y la educación. La sesión de hoy va a incluir diferentes voces, hablando desde la perspectiva de quienes toman las políticas, de quienes formulan las políticas dentro de las instituciones y asociaciones bibliotecarias y otras organizaciones culturales de la sociedad civil dentro de México y alrededor del mundo. Muchísimas gracias a todas y todos nuestros oradores y vamos a comenzar este panel, ¿no? Planteando la pregunta, la inquietud de cómo pueden las instituciones culturales, incluidas pero no limitadas a las bibliotecas, trabajar con el sistema de educación formal para ayudar a integrar la cultura en el currículum. Y cómo todo esto puede integrar oportunidades de aprendizaje a lo largo de toda la vida. Y al mismo tiempo también, que es algo importante, es cómo pueden quienes formulan las políticas públicas fomentar mayores sinergias, cuáles serían las buenas prácticas y las barreras. Para esto le voy a dar la palabra a Ebtesan Alzavi. Ella es experta en organizaciones internacionales y viene de la Comisión Nacional para la Educación, la Cultura y la Ciencia de los Emiratos Árabes Unidos.
Hola, everyone. I'm very honored to be here today to talk about two things that I personally work and it consider as my passion, culture and libraries. I started my career path as a librarian, by the way, and it was a very successful, I think, journey during my work in libraries. So let's talk about cultural and education. Cultural institutions and libraries are tools that can bridge the knowledge gap with the formal education system. Libraries can be cultural reservoirs and open space for students and learners alike to access knowledge that is tailored to their specific interests. These interests can extend to culture and the arts and similar topics that might not be extensively covered in curricula. Cultural institutions can also work with educational institutions to engage with learner groups. In the United Arab Emirates, we have examples of how cultural institutions can complement formal curricula. The Louvre Abu Dhabi has an education program geared toward engaging with universities. Jameel Arts Center has an open access arts library and research center designed to include books, papers, theses, and artist archives. It also offers residence for art writers and organizes guided tours for school children. Sharjah Art Foundation offers a children's summer art camp and studio art courses. The Salama bint Hamdan Al Nahyan Foundation, in partnership with the Rhodes Island School of Design, runs the Salama bint Hamdan Al Nahyan Emerging Artist Fellowship, a 10-month artistic education and development program that supports approximately 15 emerging UAE-based artists each year. Building partnership between libraries and cultural institutions and the formal education enables creativity and curiosity to keep following, and that is a key to sustaining lifelong learning opportunities. It also aligns with the changing perspective in the economy of culture, including in the creative sector. On this basis, the UAE presented the framework for culture and art education resolution to the 211th session of the UNESCO Executive Board in April 2021, highlighting the need to revise the existing frameworks on calling for the critical need to culture and the arts to be fully mobilized in education, as well as the need on tapping into the benefits of culture and arts education to support the young generations for attaining the future that they want. Having said that, we believe that strengthened intersectoral synergies and partnership are crucial in addressing policy challenges. In the UAE, the Education and Human Resources Council, which includes members from all government institutions responsible for education and labor, has established a working group between the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Culture and Youth to access the current state of culture and arts education in the UAE education framework. The outcome of this working group is expected to lead to recommendation on how to better improve culture and arts education within government schools. On the international level, the Lisbon Roadmap and the Seoul Agenda for Arts Education led in the groundwork for arts education, and the proposed revision process for the existing framework aims to align with the advanced technological developments in the cultural field, as well as educational advances in culture and art education. We noted with the outcomes of the global consultation process led by UNESCO towards the revised framework with member states and professional stakeholders. The consultation underlined the need to take advantage of the full potential of technologies development in the cultural field, notably due to the evaluation of the cultural sector and professions, the development of the creative economy and digital technology. It's also highlighted the critical role of culture and arts education in promoting respect for culture, diversity, and emphasize the contribution of culture and arts education to quality learning for people of all ages, as well as the access to culture and arts education should be regarded as part of their right to education and the right to culture. We see more opportunities to come with addressing these issues with the next stages of the revision process. Thank you so much.
Thank you, muchas gracias, Ertesan. Estas interesantes perspectivas y acciones que desde los Emiratos Árabes Unidos se han realizado. Ahora daré la palabra a Glenis Philip Bárbara. Ella es directora ejecutiva en el Ministerio de Cultura y Patrimonio en Aotearoa, Nueva Zelanda.
Tēnei au, te hokai nei o taku tapu ai. Ko te hokai nuku, ko te hokai rangi, ko te hokai a taku tipuna, a tāne nui a rangi. I pikitia ai ki ngā rangi tūhaha ki te tihi o manono. I roko hina atura, ko i o matua kore anake. Buenas tardes, ¿cómo está? Hola, mucho gusto. Soy Glenys Philip Barbara. It is my absolute pleasure to be here, and like everybody, I feel absolute adulation and appreciation for the Mexican government and UNESCO for bringing us together on these important conversations about culture. And as we saw outside, we the people embody culture. We embody the dreams and the aspirations of our ancestors. So today, to speak to you about culture and education on behalf of the Ministry of Culture and Heritage in New Zealand, I want to begin by sharing with you our vision for our work. Ki te pūāwai te ahurea, ha ora te iwi, which is Indigenous Māori wisdom that recognises if culture is thriving, the people are well. If culture is thriving, the people are well. In the part of the ministry that I lead, we are working in partnership with Indigenous Māori communities to support their vision for the recovery of their unique stories, reconnection to their precious artefacts and their histories. Our ministry also supports the culture system, advises ministers, monitors cultural entities, and administers funding. Like many countries worldwide, Aotearoa New Zealand has been focused for the past 2 years on responding to COVID-19. As part of our government's response in 2020, a landmark investment of $495 million over 4 years was announced, establishing the Arts and Culture COVID Recovery Fund. Our ministry administers the fund, which is responsible for ensuring that it supports the resilience and sustainability of the arts, culture, and heritage sectors, especially Indigenous Māori heritage, culture, and arts. And as I reflect on the intersection of culture and education in Aotearoa New Zealand, it is clear to me that the power of this intersection is well understood, both historically and currently. Historically, in the time of my grandmother and my mother, schools were sites of violence and cultural dislocation for Māori people in my country. This cruel and effective practice stripped the Indigenous language from the tongues of subsequent generations, mine included. By the 1970s, our Indigenous language was close to extinction. However, by the time my children were born in the 1980s and 1990s, Māori leaders such as Dame Eritana Tawhiwhirangi, Kara Puketapu, and many others had established pohanga reo, language immersion nests, cleverly repurposing the very system that had almost destroyed our language and culture to deliver that same language and culture to those of us desperate to reconnect, desperate to reclaim our heritage, our culture, our roots. The oldest graduates of this movement are now in their 40s, and they are making a significant contribution to the recovery of our Indigenous language and culture. In New Zealand, a more recent recognition by our government, is that feedback? Let's wait for the technical to begin. So more recently in New Zealand, we have announced that the history of our country colonial warts and all, will be taught compulsorily in all schools to all children. It is our government's intent that every child who leaves the schooling system understands the full history of our culture, our history, and how that has shaped who we are as a nation today. Central to this curriculum is Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the founding document of our modern nation state, which established the relationship between Indigenous peoples in New Zealand, our leaders, and the British Crown. Now, in order to do more work at this intersection of culture and education, of course, we need to secure sustainable investment. In order to secure that investment, we know a rock-solid value proposition is absolutely needed. To create such a value proposition, we need a clear vision for the future and good data to inform our thinking. We need to be able to measure our progress. As I think about the vision of our ministry, kia pua wai te ahurea, ka ora te iwi, if culture is thriving, the people are well, it is clear that everything we do in the space of culture and education must deliver well-being for people. We, the embodiment of culture. In Aotearoa and in Indigenous nations, the idea of well-being is holistic rather than reductionist, connecting people to each other and, importantly, our planet. These connections make the tapestry of relationships and interdependencies clear and show us how this idea of well-being can be sustained for a shared future. So in conclusion, I leave you with a story. The traditional song I sang for you earlier recounts the journey of an ancestor to find knowledge for the benefit of the people. 30 years ago, I could not have accessed that knowledge because I could not speak or understand my Indigenous language. Today, my 30-year journey to recover my language, my culture, and my heritage delivers value to my family, to my community, and right now, the Ministry for Culture and Heritage, the ministry I serve. Language and culture, as we know, are inextricably linked. Māori people and Aotearoa New Zealand cannot be well if the land and the people are not thriving together. I urge us to act with urgency to ensure the full recovery of Indigenous peoples worldwide. I urge us to explore together the power that exists at the intersection of culture and education. Nō reira, huri noa te ruma, tēnā rau koutou katoa. Kia ora.
Thank you very much, Claire. Elaine. Bien, hemos escuchado las perspectivas ministeriales sobre cómo podemos vincular la cultura y la educación. Ahora vamos a hablar de perspectivas institucionales y para esto le doy la palabra al maestro Sergio López Ruelas. Él es director del Sistema Universitario de Bibliotecas de la Universidad de Guadalajara y parte del Comité Local de Guadalajara, capital mundial del libro en México. Adelante, maestro.
Muy buenas tardes a todas y a todos. Muchas gracias por la cordial invitación a este importante evento. Agradezco a IFLA y a UNESCO de manera especial. Las bibliotecas son espacios altamente democráticos. Me quiero referir a América Latina y en especial a México. En nuestro país, el conjunto de bibliotecas suman aproximadamente 15,000 bibliotecas que atienden a 130 millones de habitantes. Nos faltan bibliotecas, también nos faltan bibliotecarios. ¿Qué ha pasado a lo largo de la existencia de las mismas? Pues un desarrollo lento en algunos aspectos y otro que ha ido avanzando conforme las políticas gubernamentales y educativas. Sin embargo, es muy claro que en nuestro país, en México, las bibliotecas que más se han desarrollado son las bibliotecas académicas. Un factor importante es el presupuesto que reciben, que no es tan alto, pero quisiéramos que las bibliotecas públicas tuvieran el mismo desarrollo. ¿Y qué tienen que hacer estas bibliotecas? no es descubrir hilos negros, seguir garantizando educación inclusiva y equitativa, promover oportunidades para todos, garantizar siempre el acceso a la información y a las tecnologías, la alfabetización, desarrollar habilidades informativas y competencias en sus usuarios. Yo decía hace un momento que tenemos cerca de 15,000 bibliotecas. En el año 2019, no cuento el año 20 ni el 21 por la pandemia, estas bibliotecas fueron visitadas por cerca de 75 millones de usuarios. Por supuesto, algunos entran varias veces al día y un usuario hace uso de una biblioteca. Estas bibliotecas tuvieron en sus más de 75 millones de usuarios, más de 87 millones de demandas entre servicios, tanto tradicionales como nuevos, de conexiones, de préstamos, tanto internos como externos. Cuando yo veo estos datos, considero que las bibliotecas son necesarias, son importantes y son un gran aliado de la educación, porque, entre otros asuntos, permiten que las tres funciones sustantivas que tienen las universidades, la docencia, la investigación y la cultura, puedan cumplirse. No son el único organismo, pero ayudan bastante. Otro aspecto importante es que en las bibliotecas muchas personas, muchos usuarios se pueden conectar, pueden estar ahí, pueden hacer uso de este espacio. Y en ese sentido, una biblioteca es un espacio de bienes comunes para todos, porque permite el acceso más allá de tus preferencias religiosas o otro tipo de asuntos. La biblioteca no cuestiona nunca un asunto de esta naturaleza. Promueven de manera permanente el acceso al conocimiento, apoyan a que el usuario, nosotros llamamos usuario a quien acude a una biblioteca o a quien demanda un servicio de una biblioteca, aprenda, crea e innove. Y un asunto muy importante, resguardan el patrimonio bibliográfico y documental de una nación. Las bibliotecas mexicanas en este continente tuvieron el privilegio de resguardar la otra gran revolución, cuando llega la imprenta a este continente en 1539. Imagínense ya difundir el conocimiento, qué papel tan importante entonces cobró la imprenta y la biblioteca. Por otro lado, los bibliotecarios apoyan a resolver las necesidades, las distintas necesidades de información de los usuarios y apoyan a la sociedad. Las bibliotecas crean comunidades y, por supuesto, las bibliotecas ayudan a la educación, a la agricultura, a la salud, al bienestar, entre otros aspectos importantes de la sociedad. Las bibliotecas siempre deben ser apoyadas por los gobiernos, por los organismos y por las personas. A mí me encanta ver las bibliotecas de los Estados Unidos, especialmente las públicas, que son bibliotecas, románticamente podría decirles, primorosas, en donde las comunidades van, aprenden, consultan, investigan, pero también se recrean. Estas bibliotecas, antes, ahora y a futuro, en el formato en que estén, deben seguir siendo apoyadas. Las bibliotecas, cierro con esto, deben ser siempre espacios de bienes comunes.
Muchas gracias por esta perspectiva y por supuesto hay que recordar siempre el valor, la importancia de las bibliotecas en la cultura y en la vinculación con la educación. Ahora nos vamos aquí a lo local, a la Ciudad de México, con Norma Angélica Antonio Monroy. Ella es directora de acervo bibliohemerográfico de la Secretaría de Educación, Ciencia, Tecnología e Innovación de la Ciudad de México. Adelante, Angélica.
Muchas gracias, Jonathan. Muchas gracias a la IFLA, a la UNESCO, a la Secretaría de Cultura Federal y a todas las organizaciones involucradas en la realización de esta conferencia. Muchas gracias por la invitación. Es de verdad un honor para mí estar aquí también acompañada y escuchar estas experiencias y también tener la oportunidad de compartir con ustedes lo que la Secretaría de Educación, Ciencia, Tecnología e Innovación de la Ciudad de México realiza en favor de la red de bibliotecas públicas de la ciudad. Somos más de 300 bibliotecas públicas distribuidas en todas las alcaldías. Somos una estructura cultural potente que llega a cualquier colonia, sobre todo colonias vulnerables de la ciudad. Una estructura donde pues, a veces no hay un museo, a veces no hay una casa de cultura, pero sí hay una biblioteca. Y con relación a los temas que hoy nos reúnen, quiero compartirles primero que para nosotros las bibliotecas públicas son espacios óptimos y necesarios, no solamente para el aprendizaje formal y para el aprendizaje permanente, sino también son importantes recursos que se ubican en espacios privilegiados dentro de las comunidades donde están insertas. Muchas bibliotecas en la ciudad, ya les decía, están ubicadas en colonias vulnerables y estos espacios también comparten ubicación con escuelas, son de alguna manera el corazón de la vida de las comunidades. Entonces, desde esos espacios podemos generar de verdad proyectos de largo aliento y muy importantes para las comunidades. Principalmente, pues también tener en cuenta que esta misión de la biblioteca corresponde a otra misión que cumple, que es la biblioteca con una responsabilidad social. Cuando hablamos de los recursos con los que cuentan las bibliotecas, también hay que decir que no solamente nos referimos a los inmuebles, al acervo, al equipamiento, a los servicios que tiene, que son también muy importantes y que hay que garantizar que se cuente con ellos y que estos sean de calidad, pero también nos referimos a los recursos humanos, a las y los bibliotecarios, que desde estos espacios, movidos a veces por la intuición y a veces también por una clara certeza de las misiones, de las distintas misiones que cumple la biblioteca pública, genera, moldea, ofrece distintos servicios a sus usuarios con la finalidad de apoyar y generar nuevos aprendizajes desde estos espacios que permiten a muchas personas también tener más oportunidades para mejorar la calidad de su vida. Estos servicios sin duda se convierten también en una estructura de apoyo a los sistemas educativos y como menciona Jesús Arana en su obra La Biblioteca Colaborativa, son una puerta de acceso a una formación para personas que muchas veces están fuera de los circuitos académicos. La formación a lo largo de la vida es una actividad arraigada en la biblioteca pública, sí, pero también en las prácticas de las y los bibliotecarios públicos, cuya formación en temas relacionados con la biblioteca, con su funcionamiento, con su operación, con la creación de lectores y públicos, pues se da a veces fuera del sistema formal, se da de manera a veces, muchas veces también autodidacta. La biblioteca es entonces un espacio desde donde se aprende y se promueve la participación, pero también es un espacio obligado a aprender para responder a los cambios de su entorno, para renovarse y para continuar evolucionando. Lo que permite también la biblioteca pública es que este aprendizaje no solo se dé de manera individual o aislada, sino entre pares o pequeños grupos, lo que posibilita a su vez tener un espacio para socializar dudas, para compartir e intercambiar conocimientos y con ello generar experiencias de aprendizaje colaborativo, pero también microcomunidades que comparten intereses comunes y establecen lazos de convivencia al interior y fuera de las bibliotecas. María Campbell, en su conferencia Bibliotecas Públicas, Escenarios para el Aprendizaje, plantea la necesidad de organizarlo desde la biblioteca y en coordinación con instituciones de la comunidad para que ésta tenga un desarrollo estable. En este sentido, quiero compartirles que en la SECTEI, desde la Dirección de Acervo Bibliomeriográfico, con otras áreas de la Secretaría, hemos desarrollado una oferta de talleres extraescolares que se están instalando en bibliotecas públicas de la ciudad y que tienen el objetivo de desarrollar habilidades educativas, culturales, emocionales, incluso físicas en las niñas y adolescentes, en las niñas, niños y adolescentes que habitan en la ciudad, pero también en sus cuidadores. Estos talleres se imparten con el apoyo de jóvenes universitarios que deciden realizar su servicio social con nosotros, impartiendo uno de estos talleres que pueden ser de STEAM, desarrollo socioemocional, lectura, apoyo a tareas, alfabetización física, vida saludable, en fin. Y también funciona este programa gracias a dos estrategias. Primero, son las y los jóvenes quienes deciden en qué biblioteca intervenir. Generalmente ellos seleccionan bibliotecas cercanas a su domicilio. Y también, segundo, estos jóvenes se les proporciona una capacitación inicial y asesorías permanentes para que puedan desempeñar de manera exitosa este manejo de grupo y también los talleres y los aprendizajes que se tienen esperados o proyectados. Se les proporciona también materiales que desarrollamos en la Secretaría que les funcionan como guía para el desarrollo de estos talleres. Otro agente importante en este proyecto son las y los bibliotecarios, donde instalamos estas actividades, quienes no solamente cooperan con la promoción de las actividades, sino también se les capacita, apoyan a generar los grupos y también tienen a veces una participación más activa impartiendo muchos de ellos algunos de estos talleres como Crianza Sensible, que es un taller dirigido a padres de familia. En fin, estas son algunas de las actividades, pero sin duda también requerimos políticas públicas que apoyen más la labor que se hace desde la biblioteca pública y que generen o garanticen financiamiento, que es lo que también se requiere para que estos proyectos permanezcan. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias, Angélica, por todas las actividades que hacen en las bibliotecas aquí en Ciudad de México, que sin duda son un ejemplo. Ahora nos vamos a nuestros colegas remotos. Le daré la palabra a Erik Bukestein, asesor principal en la Biblioteca Nacional de los Países Bajos, quien nos acompaña vía Zoom.
Hey, I see my slide. And there's an echo on the line. Wait a second. See if I can get the echo away. Are you still listening to me? Or can you still hear me?
We can hear you.
We hear you. Please start. Yes, we hear you. Yeah, we hear you. Okay, Claire's here. Okay, Claire. I will start with the presentation. I just start talking and don't forget me. So I'll talk through it and I'll say next slide. My name is Erik Bukestein and I was very happy to be here in the room. I'm sorry for the technical trouble that we're facing here, but thanks to IFLA, thanks to UNESCO, and thanks to the wonderful speakers and Glennis, great singing. I was really impressed. I was once in your Puka Ariki institution, library, museum. And I think you have a wonderful country with great ideas. I work at the National Library of the Netherlands, as I said earlier, and I wanted to talk today about the role that the public library takes. So I want to approach the questions on integrating the cultural into the educational system with the new situation in the Netherlands. Since 2015, public libraries came under the wings, so to speak, of the National Library of the Netherlands, and that is quite unique in the world. And this has also changed our view on education and on libraries in general, and also what we can do as a network. So our mission to connect people and works, contribute to a smarter, more competent, and more creative society for now and in the future, is something that opened up quite a new way of thinking. And of course, we talk in a library's perspective from the written word, but it goes way beyond the written word, and it goes beyond, well, even beyond culture, maybe. So I think in order to work together with learning systems, such as educational systems, we have to make sure we realize our added value. What do we offer to the educational system that is of interest? And I think it's a lot. I mean, it's design, it is the spaces. We have some amazing libraries that attract so many people. And once those people are in our buildings, what can we do with those people? How can we bring our collections to life and the ideas in the heads of those people alive? So we focus on societal value, on digital transformation, and on working in networks. I'm going to the third slide. Going to the next slide, we do this from babies up to very old people. And we facilitate the libraries, the public libraries, and the academic libraries with reading facilities, as I said, from babies up to the elderly, and access to also people who have difficulty in reading, large print. We help with research. We do so many things to guide people through their lives and help them be a better version of themselves, maybe. We do this in our buildings, but we also have like this digital infrastructure that works together with the cultural heritage institutions, the archives, museums, with the science, the academies, and with the public libraries to provide a sort of a cloud of culture and information that shines all over the Netherlands and brings cool collections everywhere. More and more important, we see in strategy policy plans, the sustainable development goals come up, also within IFLA. They are very important. And more and more of these, I'm going to the next slide. I'm sorry, Claire, I didn't tell you. I'm going to the slide with the sustainable development goals. We make sure that we ensure public access to information. We promote literacy, we enhance research, and we safeguard cultural heritage. And of course, this has a direct link to educational systems. Next slides, other sustainable development goals priorities we think are reading and digital literacies, research and imagination, sustainable access to collections, digital infrastructure, and maybe last but not least, organization and development. I think as organizations, we need to keep looking at ourselves, and we need to keep developing ourselves to become better in what we do. Going back to what I said first, the new role for the National Library with regard to the public libraries is we coordinate the network. We provide synergy and coordination. We deliver education, information, and reflection. We maintain, of course, and develop the National Digital Library and the library services for people with print disabilities. But if this is what we do for the public libraries, how do we see our role what is the public library doing in this? We integrate the public library system with the services of the Dutch National Library. We make sure we have a better coherence within the decentralized sector. We tailor the current legal framework for public libraries, and we define the core functions together with those public libraries, what they are. We're going to skip these because we're running out of time, I think. So the core tasks of public libraries are make knowledge and information available, facilitate personal development and learning, promote reading and introduce people to literature, organize social encounters and debate, and promote art and culture. We do this from the societal challenges that faces. And I think this is a very important step that came into our way of thinking over the last couple of years. So the challenges we see is a literate society. How do we create that? The participation in the information society. How do we make sure that everybody can participate? And how do we provide lifelong learning, lifelong development, as I like to call it? These three societal challenges are very important. And in way of working, we have the societal challenges take precedence first, and then we challenge. The challenge transcends us without any of us can do. So we have to think, what can we do? We let the challenge call the shots. It's not one of the parties involved, one of the parties in the network, but the challenge calls the shot, and each party contributes according to ability.
Eric, can you hear me?
Most important, we don't work alone. One of the things we set up a couple of years ago, we started doing is government information points, digital government information points in libraries. And we make sure that the people, the citizens in the Netherlands, are provided with the skills that they can communicate with our government. I think from a democratic point of view as well, this is very important to make sure that people are seen, that they are heard, and that they feel recognized in what is going on in the digital world. So last point is the challenges that we have to take on, in our view, of the National Library, are libraries and the Sustainable Development Goals. How do we work with them? Libraries and technology, artificial intelligence and ethics. Misinformation and fake news, I think that's a very important one. And democracy. Democracy as itself is a very important topic. I always say if we can make sure that people stay curious, if we are the curators of curiosity, that we can then we keep people interested in creating the best society locally and nationally in our countries. And this is it. Thank you so much for listening to me, and sorry for the difficulties technology-wise. And great to be here.
Muchas gracias, Eric, por esta perspectiva desde la Biblioteca Nacional de los Países Bajos. Rápidamente tenemos a Hayford Xiao. Él es director ejecutivo en la Autoridad Bibliotecaria de Ghana. No sé si está en línea.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So I work for the Ghana Library Authority, which is the agency responsible for library development in Ghana. And just to give you a bit of perspective, the Ghana Library Authority manages both the National Library and the public library network across the country. And we've been doing this since 1949. And so this organization is one that was one of the institutions that was inherited from the colonial days. Because if you are very familiar with history, you recognize that Ghana gained independence in 1957. So this is one of the institutions that was transferred from the colonial days to present modern day Ghana. And since its establishment, its work had focused not only in serving the public, but also has been situated in being able to preserve narratives and cultural expressions of the country. It is significant to know that the Ghana Library Authority also works under the Ministry of Education of the Republic of Ghana. And so naturally, our work is infused within the education strategy of the Republic of Ghana, in that we contribute in promoting learning both in school and out of school. And this we've been doing over the last 72 years. And always we have defined ourselves as being the linkage between the Ghanaian people and knowledge. And so the library institution is in the middle, and we connect the citizens to knowledge. And we've been connecting citizens to knowledge through various mediums. And so naturally, everybody knows that libraries connect people through their static spaces. So these are the physical buildings that we have. And it is significant to know that over the last 5 years, we've increased the network of libraries by 51. Before that, the library network in Ghana, the public library network in Ghana was only 61. So within a period of 5 years, due to the commitment of the President of the Republic of Ghana, we've managed to increase the network of library by 51. Now we have 112 public libraries across the country accessible to the 30 million people. We understand that it is not enough, and we are working to address it. If you look within the education strategic plan, by 2030, Ghana proposed to have about 540 public libraries under our management. So there is a clear policy commitment from the government of Ghana to be able to support the increase in the footprint of public libraries in Ghana. And so this is what we do in terms of provision of access to knowledge through the static library, and what we are doing to be able to advance people's interaction, or the citizens' interaction with public library network. Another medium we've been able to use to be able to make sure that people connect to knowledge is also mobile library services. And so we have also about 11 mobile vans that also goes into rural communities across the country, that people are able to have access to the content, the repository that we have within this public library, within this mobile library service that we provide. The mobile library vans don't go just with books, but they also goes with computers in them, and these computers have recorded expressions, they have ebooks and all of those materials that have been stored to be able to grant access to young people across the country. And internet connectivity or device access is really a challenge in most developing countries, and Ghana is no exception. And that is why we have this program called the Mobile ICT Program, which was last year awarded by the United Nations Public Service Awards as one of the innovative projects for last year. And it is because this project is able to connect people who otherwise would have no connection or no access to the use of technology devices. And so that is also one medium that we are able to connect our citizens. Another medium, of course, which every library in the world is pursuing, is cloud. Before 2018, Ghanaians did not have the opportunity for being able to access content or library resources through technology. As I speak to you now, anyone in Ghana with access to a mobile phone can be able to download the app of the Ghana Library Authority and be able to have access to content. What we have done also is that because we understand the cost in being able to access internet, we have worked with multinationals, the telecommunications in the country, to be able to zero-rate the platform, which means that if you are living in Ghana and you want to be able to have access to Ghana Library app, access our content, whether it is audio, whether it is video or text content, you can be able to have access without you paying for it. It is free. The telcos have absorbed the cost. And so that is really one significant strategy adopted to be able to make sure that we connect our citizens to knowledge without bearing any cost on them. Another fourth one medium that we've been adopting to be able to make sure that our citizens are connected is what probably you call the human library project. And it's so interesting that UNICEF is supporting us to be able to bring resource people who have expertise in a certain area, whether it is in culture, whether it is entrepreneurship. We try to bring these people to our spaces and to be able to use our cultural settings and practices to be able to make sure that people that have been invited into these programs have access to this knowledge.
Hello, Hafer, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Thank you, Hafer. Can you just summarize in order to finish our discussion?
Yeah, so in summary, these are the ways that we have adopted in Ghana to be able to make sure that citizens have access to resources, not only those in schools, because naturally we are already under the Ministry of Education. We provide school as technical support to school libraries in Ghana, but also out of school, people also have access to the public library network. And we've increased it, created resources for and made available to the Ghanaian public. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heifer, por esta perspectiva. Y bueno, vamos a terminar. Tenemos solamente un par de minutos. Vamos a robar 3 minutitos para la perspectiva juvenil, que tenemos aquí a María Manyate, que ella nos visita del Observatorio de Políticas Culturales en África. Nos hablará también desde esta perspectiva para finalizar el evento. Tendrá, muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Maria. You have to,
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm Madam Majati said, I'm from Mozambique. I'll go quickly. My slide, please. Okay. So, next slide, please. To champion education for all and integrate the life learning opportunities, first, there's a need to reinforce advocacy and to review advocacy for access to information and knowledge for all. There's also a need to strong advocates to review and redesign the curriculum to introduce a cultural education in early age and adapt the education system into the multiculturalism and linguistic diversity and knowledge in this knowledge system. It's also important to provide access to culture, heritage, and diverse cultural expression, including the digital environment. It's another important point to safeguard training teachers in curriculum of arts education. Equipment, infrastructure, and also resource are very important. So to encourage a great synergy between policy makers and stakeholders, it's very important to promote the cooperation and understanding among people and with the outside world various knowledge, system, institution, practicals, beliefs, value system, value culture and subculture in view to collect documents, interpret them, analyze, in view to respond to the needs, expectation, and also aspiration of people. Some good practice around Africa. There's a current program, Youth Heritage Africa. This is a program, a joint program implemented by ICROM, African World Heritage Fund, École du Patrimoine Africain. There's also Imaginecole, is a French-speaking regional space that bring together several quality for assess education resource for students. This program started when COVID started, so is the reimagination of school, especially because there was no access to go to school for lessons. If we look to UNESCO, there's also an International Week for Arts Education, and now as it's in current revision, consultation for revision for the stats of artists, resilient art movement. We know that this began when COVID started to make a new style life for artists. There's also a Goethe Institute. This is around the world. They're doing a great job on cultural programs. I see that they provide a resource to help on the implementation of the UNESCO 2005 Convention. Also, we have African Union, the 21 year of arts and culture and heritage, the Loan of Art that is now a call for application for art residence, and also the regional consultation on art education that is being implementing in all Africa. Next slide, please. When we talk about the barriers, culture policies, gaps, and resource allocated to culture sector is also a gap, one of the gaps. The lack of relevant experts in the competent fields, the lack of capacity, development of programs, to capture the full potential of the professional utilization, its human resource capacity, a lack of the effectiveness of public policy framework in general, and also the education system itself. It's a very gaps in that. Next slide. Yes, thank you. So to continue to encourage this synergy, I think it's important to stretch the existing network for cooperation among cultural institutions and libraries and beyond, to promote the collaborative studies, research, and also educational programs. It's also important to promote the network, change of ideas, experience, and information among institutions, scholars, academicians, experts, in order to develop the long-term cultural perspective. I think it's also, the other point was here referred, I think it's the minister. Yeah, for the library. I think it's important to support the creation of school libraries and ensure its meaningful engagement with public, private, and other types of libraries to serve as a policy-oriented board in the education system. And finally, it's very important to ensure joint activity as a scientific culture meeting, exhibition, art festival, and also international cooperation to facilitate development around the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Maria. And muchísimas gracias a todas y a todos por asistir. Todas estas ideas serán recopiladas para los informes y nuestros informes en la página web. Muchísimas gracias y un aplauso a todos nuestros panelistas.